a talented person. I cannot sing or dance or play the cello like an angel sent from heaven. I can't draw or paint or sculpt. I can't hack computers or solve complicated mathematical equations. And I used to feel really bad about it. I wanted to have a talent to offer the world besides Microsoft Office skills. And I was excited that Malik talked about talents and gifts, because one day I realized that I might not have a talent, but I kind of had a gift, and that was that I was brave, and that being brave had gotten me outrageous opportunities in my life. I was excited to see Michelle speak today, because I don't know if she remembers it, but 27 years ago, she and I were both junior docents at the Birmingham Museum of Art. This was a fantastic program. It brought high schoolers from around the city in and taught us all about the art and the artists. And then we got to lead tours on our own. The way that they chose docents was by calling guidance counselors at high schools around the area and asking for the names of students who were exemplary and who would be a great fit for the program, which is probably why I wasn't chosen. My friend Laurie was, and you'd know why. She was sophisticated and poised, and I wanted to be a docent too. I was already in love with downtown Birmingham, and being there made me feel energized and alive. I wanted to be part of the art and culture of the city. And not for nothing, but I wanted to get out of church choir tour, which happened to be the same week as docent training. So I called the director of education at the museum, and I made a case as to why I thought I would be a great junior docent. And I think my resume at the time included second place in a regional spelling bee and a summer shelving books at the Springfield Road Library. But she accepted me. Now, in retrospect, who turns down a 15-year-old who wants to give up their summer to volunteer for your arts program? Probably no one. But at the time, the call seemed really daunting to me. And I learned that you had to be brave enough to ask for what you wanted. And I'm here today. And it doesn't matter anymore if I was chosen or if I talked my way in. I got the same public speaking experience. I made the same early connection to Birmingham. And I learned how art could be part of growing the city. The results are the same. One of the philosophies I live by is the simple phrase, what could happen? It's fun because sometimes the answer is, well, we could go to prison. Or we could die. But if the answer isn't we could go to prison or we could die, I consider it to be a viable option. And I've learned that I can't die of embarrassment. Last summer I was on live TV and I was talking about Alabama's summer produce and the bounty of it. And the anchor person asked me how to pick out a good watermelon. This is an age-old question. I know you're excited because you're going to find out. And one of the first things that we do is we look for the white spot on the bottom of the watermelon. And that shows that it had time to rest and ripen in the field before being picked. My husband calls this spot the coot. And I guess I thought he knew what he was talking about. Because I instructed all the viewers on how to find their watermelon coot. Now, of course, it turns out that was not a real thing, which he will deny to his grave. But if you Google the phrase watermelon coot, the only results you will find are me. I was embarrassed, but I didn't die. I also want to be brave enough to fail. Up until recently, I had a little grocery store in Avondale that sold all local food. And the way we opened that store was by winning a contest called Occupy Avondale that gave us retail space in an up-and-coming neighborhood. And we got to try out our idea of making eating local easier for busy moms and families. And the night we won that contest was the best night of my life. I mean, it was an indescribable high. The media was there covering it. All my friends and family came and congratulated us and toured the space. The community came out in droves to welcome us to the neighborhood. It was so wonderful, in fact, that I thought, there must be something horrible looming in my future to balance this out. And that terrible moment came about a month ago when I had to close the business. Now, this was after 3 years of planning, 18 months with no salary or savings, 14-hour days, hauling turkeys and delivering veggie boxes, coming up with even more ways to cook kale, and answering questions like, are you sure this cow didn't know it was going to die? Another one was, are these sheep eggs? But at that point, I had exhausted every favor I could get from every friend, every family member, the city, my customers, my vendors, and I'd also given up most of the things I owned because I didn't want to wonder one day if I'd given it everything I had. And so closing the store was not an easy decision. But I wanted to be brave. And so after I made the announcement, I took the rest of the day off, and I spent it really intensely, aggressively feeling sorry for myself. Because I think it's important to let yourself be afraid or ashamed or disappointed. They're real feelings, and if you don't process them, how do you move on? And by the end of the day, I was ready to get back to business, and I was able to keep somewhat of a stiff upper lip while we liquidated the store and said goodbye to customers and farmers that we loved. Now, of course, one of the hardest parts of failing is that you prove everyone right. And there was no shortage of naysayers who said that Freshly would fail. One wrote me 2 weeks ago and said, I'm just now hearing of this concept. I had not heard of Freshly before, and I hope I'm not too late to say that it is a terrible, terrible idea. Now, I used to listen to people like that who told me that my ideas were bad. And I believed them, and I didn't try. I presented a proposal one time, and it was rejected, and they said, this is ridiculous. No one would ever want to buy books on the internet. One company told me that I was grossly overestimating the threat that Walmart would have on their small business. Somebody once told me I was the least entrepreneurial person they had ever met. And I listened to them, and I believed them, and I didn't try. And because of that, yeah, I didn't succeed, but I also didn't get to fail and make mistakes and get better and try again. And besides that, I learned that they didn't know what they were talking about anyway. They're not fortune tellers. They don't know if I'm going to succeed or fail. Look at Regents Field. It has thousands of detractors. And if we had done what they said, it wouldn't be Ballpark of the Year that broke all the attendance records. So now I listen really closely when people tell me ways that I can improve what I'm working on or have better ideas. But I ignore people who say I'm going to fail or who say I'm not good enough. And I want to be brave enough when I do fail to try again. I wish I could tell you I knew what I was doing next. I have no idea. I wish I could tell you it would be successful, but I definitely don't know that. But I do know they'll have to kill me to keep me from trying. And I want to encourage everyone to be brave, to fail, and to be embarrassed and humiliated, because we need a city full of brave people to get where we want to go. And I'd like to ask you to imagine the thing in the world that you are most afraid to try, and then ask yourself, what could happen? Thank you.